Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order, starting off with a roll call for attendance. John Badalata. John is not here as of yet. Dan DeLoss. Barbara Lobenheim.
Here.
Benny Martinez.
Present.
Dale Rakoff.
Present.
Grace Tillinghast.
Present.
And Alan Williams here. Welcome to the Board of Trustees of Monroe Community College Budget Workshop. This meeting has been called to order and a quorum has been established. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of Monroe Community College conduct an executive session pursuant to Public Officers Law, Section 105, subsection E, collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law, the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporations. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, and have a roll call vote. Dan DeLoss.
Aye.
Barbara Lobenheim.
Aye.
Benny Martinez.
Aye.
Dale Rakoff.
Aye.
Grace Tillinghast.
Aye.
Alan Williams. And there are no abstentions or objections. The motion passes. We are now into executive session.
Thank you, Jeremy.
My question is whether I should go into executive session or not. Is it okay?
Okay,
So Alan, we just need to end the board workshop.
I think we did. Okay. Trustees, that concludes the Board of Trustees budget workshop. We are back now. We have 1 minute to spare before we go into the board meeting.
Alan, your book collection is very impressive behind you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Linda, this is Kristen Lowe. I'm going to sign off because I think I'm not a speaker during this portion of the meeting, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Good to see everyone.
Bye, Kristen. Thanks for coming.
Mhm.
Kristen.
Christy, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I am well. I am well. It's good to see you.
It's nice to see you. It's nice to see everybody, even though we're still two-dimensional.
Yes.
Oh, there's Hazy I saw. And
Christy.
Barb,
Yeah,
Hi.
good to see you, Christy.
nice to see you.
Welcome.
Thank
Chris, have you
you.
been back in Albany lately or doing everything from here?
Well, we had a face-to-face board meeting last Tuesday, first time in over a year.
Is this the SUNY board?
Yes, uh-huh. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Chrissy, there hasn't been a community college committee meeting.
No, we were planning on having one this time, but Bob Duffy was out of town, so we didn't have one. We have another meeting in May in New York City, and we're planning to have a community college committee then.
Has there been any discussion, Christy, on the new trustee situation for the community colleges particularly?
No, everything's for community colleges. It was mostly all budget this time.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
No.
No.
No, there was, no, we knew that, yeah. I just wanted to know if they, I know we seem to still have the needs here and not really know what the pathway is.
Right. There's so many openings, and I will ask again about that.
Yeah, if you would, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It is 4 o'clock. Linda, what does it look like? I can't tell how many trustees or if we have a,
Let me just double check here. No, Mr. Bartolotta is just joining, but I think we have everyone that was here previously, so that's 6. So we should be good.
one. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It is, and welcome to the April board meeting of the of Monroe Community College. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'll do a roll call. Trustee John Bartolotta. Dr. Joe Carbone. Dan DeLoss.
Here.
Barbara Lobenheim.
Here,
Benny Martinez.
Present.
Dale Rakoff.
Present.
Grace Tillinghast.
Kristen.
And Alan Williams. And welcome to the April meeting of the Board of Trustees of Monroe Community College. The meeting has been called to order and a quorum has been established. On behalf of the board, I'd like to recognize Chair Emerita, Dr. Alice Holloway, for being presented with the Liberty Medal. This award was, or recognizes the Lifetime Achievement of Exceptional Community Acts and is the highest award on it, awarded by the New York State Senate. This award was presented by New York State Senator, Senator Samra Bork. Is Dr. Young?
Dr. Young is listening to the meeting via streaming.
Okay, all right. We will now move to adopt the consent agenda. Unless objections are raised, the following items are proposed to be adopted and approved by consent. Some of these items address issues which have been discussed by the board in the past and/or routine operational matters which do not involve new policy decisions. Other consent items are derived from provisions in the existing prior approved labor contracts, capital construction programs, or other trustee initiatives. The consent agenda is presented for adoption as a single agenda item. Specific items may be removed by request of any board member for discussion as part of the regular agenda. The remaining items should then be adopted as a single agenda, and board approval of the consent agenda is required. Resolved, the Board of Trustees of Monroe Community College adopt the consent agenda effective April 12th, 2021. Trustees, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? And again, we have to do it by roll call vote. Trustee John Bartolotta,
Yes.
Dr. Joe Carbone, Dan DeLoss,
Aye.
Barbara Lobenheim,
Aye.
Benny Martinez,
Aye.
Dale Rakoff,
Aye.
Grace Tillinghast,
Aye.
Alan Williams, aye. There are no objections or abstentions, and the motion is, the consent agenda is approved. Trustee Dale Rakoff will now give the Finance and Facilities Committee report. The board will consider these resolutions as committee of the whole, voting on each in turn. Trustee Rakoff?
Thank you, Chair Williams, and thank you for serving in the capacity. Welcome members of the MCC community as we welcome spring and spring in the air. There's no better way to acclimate than reviewing a few financial reports. So I'd like to begin just to revisit the audit results from last meeting. If you recall, Bonadillo presented their audit results. Two items of note is one, that it was an unmodified opinion, and the second is with no adjustments. So I'd like to propose the following resolution: resolved that the Board of Trustees of Monroe Community College accepts the annual audit of Monroe Community College for the fiscal year ended August 31, 2020, as conducted by Bonadillo and Company LLP, which was provided in the March 2021 board meeting. Trustees may have a motion to approve the annual audit that was presented at the March 1st meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Good, perfect, thank you. Any discussion? Move to a roll call then. All in favor, John Bartolotta,
Aye.
Dr. Joe Carbone, Dan DeLoss,
Aye.
Barbara Lobenheim,
Aye.
Benny Martinez,
Aye.
Dale Rakoff, aye. Grace Tillinghast,
Aye.
Alan Williams.
Aye.
No opposed. That resolution carries. Next, I would like to invite Hezzy Simmons to give the financial report for the month ending February 2021. Hezzy.
Trustee Rakoff, and good evening, everyone. Let's go to the first slide, please. So this represents the February 2021 performance, which means we've gone through 6 months of the fiscal year. And at this stage, we see enrollment through spring census at 7,078 FTEs. This reflects a decrease of 1,553 FTEs, or an 18% decline year on year. Tuition reflect a decrease of some $1.8 million from last year. And that results in a year-on-year decline of some 6.1%. And that's despite the fact that we are including high school dual enrollment this year in our tuition dollars, as opposed to in other revenues. Total revenues thus have reached $65.1 million, reflecting a year-on-year decrease of some 9.6%, primarily driven by the decrease in enrollment and state aid. As you will recall, the state reduced our aid by some 20%. That's still reflected in these numbers, although we have now been told that 20% will only come to 5% by the time we get to the end of the year. Included in these funds are some recognition of some $3.6 million of federal aid, or what we call as CARES Act 1. Total expenses have reached $51.4 million. That reflects a decrease of some $8.8 million, or a year-on-year decline of some 14.7%. And all of these add up to an increase in fund balance of some $1.9 million. Next slide, please. Here we're looking at February year to date, the key performance data. So I've walked you through these, but these are what you see here now is just the numbers. So you see student head count, spring census, as of February 21, 8,505. As of February 20, that was 10,562. So there's a decline there of some 19.5%. The enrollment figures I just spoke about, down 18%, tuition down 6%, and total revenues down 9.6%. The good news on this slide is the fact that total expenses continue to decline. I mean, we expect that given the fact that we are still remote, but against a budget of some, against last year's spending of some $60.2 million, year to date, we've spent $51.4 million, or a decline of some $8.9 million, or 14.7%. Next slide, please. So we've achieved 7,078 state aidable FTEs on a year-to-date basis. And this represents a budget achievement through spring of some 91%. And if you look at the mix, full-time aidable FTEs are down some 17%, but part-time aidable FTEs are up 11%. And that's just a reminder of what the pandemic has done to us. And so we have a lot of our students taking part-time courses as opposed to full-time, and that's driven by a lot of different reasons. Next slide, please. Here I've captured the revenue performance in pie charts, just to kind of give you a flavor of what this looks like. So if you look to the left, that's February year to date, some $72 million. To the right is February 21. That's $65.1 million. Key there is that, yes, revenues are down 6.9 million or 9.6%. But the major hit, if you look into the pie charts themselves, you'll see that the blue representing tuition. So in fiscal year 20, that was $29.8 million, or 41.4% of the total 72 million. In February year-to-date 21, that number is dropped to $28 million, representing 43% of the total $65.1 million. The other significant change on this chart is in the state aid area. That's the orange slice. 16.3 million, or 22% in fiscal year 20, down to 12.2 million, or 18.7% in fiscal year 21. Next slide, please. This is just to show you reflect those same numbers, but you see it now in this format. tuition down 6.1, state aid down 25.1, all other down 28.4, for a total year-on-year decrease of $6.9 million or 9.6%. Next slide. Here is a pie chart demonstrating our benefits performance. It's year to date, February 20 versus 21. And again, if you look at the pies themselves, the more significant one here is that, well, year on year, the reduction is $2.7 million of the major driver is healthcare for active employees. That is the orange, not the orange, I'm sorry, that's the yellow slice there, where we reached, the reduction is actually $2.3 million, going from 2.6 million to 2.2 million, or some 49%. In healthcare, now what's the big contributing force there? Is healthcare for active. It's partially offset by a growth in healthcare for retirees, and that's all about the initiative we took last year with VSIP, which was the voluntary separation from service, and the VPEP. Those two actions resulted in a mix of more people on retiree benefits and a reduction in the current employees' benefits. So again, looking at the blue, which is active health, $5.6 million or 30% in 20, and that's now $5.4 million or 34% in 21. We have a similar thing in if you look at the gray bars, retiree health, $3.6 million or 19.5%. I'm sorry, it's not the gray bar, it's the yellow bar, orange light. 2.6 million or 14% going to 2.2 million or 13%. Next chart, please. Here's total expenses. Again, year to date, last year we had spent $60.2 million. 34.7 million of that, or 57%, would be salaries. This year, for the same slice of the pie, $29.9 million, or 58% of the $51 million. So wages and salaries represent about 58% of the spend, accounting for a significant amount of the reduction, equaling some $4.8 million, or 14%. As I said earlier, employee benefits representing 31% of the expenditures, and a reduction of $2.7 million or 15%. The contractual expenses are the yellow slice there. It's down some $1.2 million or 18%, and driven primarily by utilities and travel expenses, and again, because of our remote environment. Next chart. These numbers just show those, what I talked about earlier, year-on-year variances on this chart. Salaries down 13.8%, benefits down 14.4%, equipment is negligible, and contractual expenses down 18.7%, for a total variance of $8.9 million year-on-year, or a 14.7% decline in expenses. Next slide. Oh, so this is just what has happened as a result of those numbers. Is the fund balance is at $25.8 million, reflecting a year-on-year decrease of some $500,000. But as you know, our fund balance actually tracks down now from this point on until we get to the month of August. And the next slide. This is my attempt to show what is required in order to meet the budget. So if you take our year-to-date performance over a period of 6 months, or about 50% of the year having been completed, to achieve budget would be a significant challenge. As a matter of fact, in most cases, we can't achieve that budget. Even though we have completed 50% of the fiscal year, much of the full year enrollment is almost all accounted for. Only thing that's left would be the summer enrollment and the late start. So you can see that 1,894 needed to make the budget, or 21%. We won't reach that level. Our summer generally runs about 800 to 900 FTEs, and the late starts are very minimal. Thus, tuition will be significantly affected, and also total revenue. So those numbers for tuition needing 37.4% more and total revenue 41.7% more, we're not going to achieve those numbers. The good news, however, is that is in expenses. So we have a budget of 119 million. We have spent 51.4 million. To reach the budget, we would have to spend another $67.6 million. Not possible. So we will improve in terms of expenses. And in this budget, the board had approved the use of some $7.4 million of fund balance. I can commit to you today that we will not spend any fund balance this year. As a matter of fact, we will probably generate a small amount of fund balance this year. Now, that's significant portion of that is driven by both our decline in expenses, but also some CARES Act funding that we will receive. Next slide. This is my quarterly update for Trustee Rykoff relative to our spend on the net cost per FTEs. So revenues, if you look at the final column, the 2021 estimate, we are showing an estimate of enrollment this year of 8,263 FTEs. That's the estimate. The revenues would be $13,443 per FTE. However, included in that $13,443 is the $3.6 million of CARES Act funding. So when you back out the CARES Act funding, that number drops to $13,008, and therefore the revenue loss at the bottom line, we are showing $1,007. However, that's high by about $572. But in any event, it is still better than the last 2 years where we were actually losing. This year, we will be showing an increase that is cost being less than revenue by some $500 per FTE. My concern is going forward in terms of how these numbers will match up as a result of the good news we got this year because of CARES Act spending.
Hey,
and the next
Hezzy, while the screen is up, and I apologize for not being available for the workshop, so this may have been discussed, but do we have a sense of what these numbers, enrollment, total revenues, and expenditures will look like in a post-COVID year? And I know obviously that's a moving forecast, obviously, because of factors that are not in our control. But do we get a sense? And we talked about more and more students doing work online, part-time versus full-time. And I'm just curious to know if we have a sense as it relates to post-COVID, and maybe it's a question for Dale as well.
Well, it all depends on how far down post-COVID you want to go. Yeah. For next year, and in some of our mind, that is close to post-COVID, we presented an enrollment next year actually continuing to decline, and it's because we are we haven't been able to commit to our potential students and our current students at this point in time, whether or not we're going to be face to face. So my budget for next year right now assumes 50% of our students being remote and the other 50% being face to face. And that has driven our enrollment down from the 8,972 budgeted this year, or the 8,429 estimated for this year, down to 7,523 for next year. So we are looking at a continued decline in enrollment. Now, when you get 1 year further out, based on our work with our institutional research people, we think that that curve will be a little bit up. I don't want to commit at this point in time how high up, but we are looking at a positive movement come 23, that is fiscal year 23 versus fiscal year 22. And of course, the revenues the budget, it's down some $10 million in our budget for next year. Yeah, I'm sorry, you missed most of this discussion that we would have had.
Yeah, and I apologize, but thank you for that, and thanks for. And then the idea of the curve is good, and I just, again, for my own edification, I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Well, and the board did decide that we're going to have another workshop. So if you are around, you will get more of this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what's my key message? We have significant challenges ahead to achieve the budgeted enrollment, which will directly impact our ability to achieve the revenue target. And as I said earlier, I don't think we can make that. We have, however, received $3.6 million of CARES Act funds that we recognize in this current year performance. Total expenses will be are down at this point some 14.7%, and we expect to continue to show expenses down year on year and also down compared to our budget. That's all because of the strong support that we're getting from the college community in terms of not spending and being very careful and realistic about how we are managing the financials. And that is the financial report. Are there any additional questions?
You may have already mentioned this, but any of the state funding for the current year that was initially cut, has that been restored?
Yes.
And if so, what budget does it go in?
It's going in this year's actual.
Okay.
That is, they had asked us told us that our funding would be down some 20%. We took that cut in last year's fiscal year. They have now told us that 20% will be only 5%, and it'll be for only 1 year, which means that this year we are getting a significant portion of those funds that we lost last year back to this year. But it's 5% cut, and it's only a one-time event per the budget, the state budget office.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. And again, we sort of have the same issue here at RGRTA, but we have to be careful when people talk about, the allotment that you received last year. There are so many different versions now. That which was in the governor's budget, that's what was passed, that which was cut, that was now which was restored. That it's nice when you're communicating with people to make sure you're on the same page in that regard.
I agree with you.
And I trust us.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Hezi. And hopefully that helped kind of impart two things. One is that very good stewardship in applying the CARES Act funds, both to stabilize the environment for the MCC employees, but also to also provide the student support that's required for their success. And I greatly appreciate all the efforts, President Douglas, on working on that ratio between revenue and cost per FTE, because that should provide some sense of stability for those at the college, knowing that we're on a sustainable glide slope. So with that, I would ask that you consider the following resolution: resolved that the Board of Trustees of Monroe Community College accepts the interim financial report as of February 28th, 2021, found in attachment 1. Trustees may have a motion to approve the financial reports as detailed in attachment 1.
So moved.
And do I have a second? Second, thank you. Any discussion? We'll move to a roll call vote. All in favor, John Bartolotta,
Aye.
Dr. Joe Carbone.
Aye.
Thank you, Joe. Dan DeLoss,
Aye.
Barbara Lovenheim,
Aye.
Benny Martinez,
Aye.
Dale Rakoff, aye. Grace Tillinghast,
Aye.
and Alan Williams.
Aye.
Thank you all. That resolution does carry. Next, resolved that the Board of Trustees of Monroe Community College authorizes the purchase of items over $20,000 as listed for the month of February 2021, found in attachment 2, which I believe is only one item, which was a grant expense. Trustees may have a motion to approve the purchases or the purchase over $20,000 as detailed in attachment 2.
So
Move it.
moved.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. And moving to roll call vote, all in favor, John Bartolotta,
Aye.
Dr. Joe Carbone,
Aye.
Dan DeLoss,
Aye.
Barbara Lovenheim,
Aye.
Benny Martinez,
Aye.
Dale Rakoff, aye. Grace Tillinghast,
Aye.
and Alan Williams.
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution carries. And then the final resolution, resolved that the Board of Trustees of Monroe Community College authorizes the Chair of the Finance and Facilities Committee or the Chair of the Board of Trustees to approve budget transfers on behalf of the Board of Trustees through the end of the budget year, August 31st, 2021. And before we go to a motion, I didn't know, Hezi, if you wanted to kind of share the insights, or President Douglas, behind this.
Yes, this is an annual resolution that we always put through because we only have one more board meeting that takes place in June. We have generally a lot of spending that takes place in the months of June and July. And oftentimes we have to move monies from one budget to another. And to do that, if the transfer exceeds, I think it's $10,000 or $20,000, we need board approval. And so the board gives either you or the board chair authority to make that decision without having to go to the board meeting. So that's the reason for this resolution.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that, Hezi. So given that, trustees may have a motion to approve the chairs, either of the trustees or the Finance and Facilities Committee, to approve the budget transfers as noted.
So moved.
And
Second.
any discussion or questions? Move to a roll call. All in favor, John Bartolotta,
Aye.
Dr. Joe Carbone,
Aye.
Dan DeLoss,
Aye.
Barbara Lovenheim,
Aye.
Benny Martinez,
Aye.
Dale Rakoff abstains, Grace Tillinghast,
Aye.
and Alan Williams.
Aye.
Resolution does carry. Next, please refer to the informational items found in attachments 3, 4, and 5. Hezi, would you like to provide any other insights or information to the board regarding these items?
Nothing to add except for that very last item is the work that's been suspended for downtown, not the Forward Center, but the rest of the downtown funding that we were planning on spending. We've had some difficulty in the bond language. So I've changed the reasoning this year versus this month versus last month. And so we are working with the county and the the bond attorneys to try to change the language that will allow us to spend money on the first phase. And that's being held up at this point in time. But other than that, there's been no changes to that report.
Perfect. Okay. Any other questions from the board? This concludes the Finance and Facilities Committee report. Chair Williams?
Thank you, Trustee Rakoff. Trustee Carla Palumbo has been assigned the chair of the Personnel and Programs Committee. In Trustee Palumbo's absence, I will now give the report. The board will consider these resolutions as committee of the whole, voting on each in turn. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of Monroe Community College approves the appointment of department chairs for the academic year 2021-22 as indicated, each to receive an annual stipend in accordance with provisions of the current agreement with the Faculty Association. And you see these as they are listed on the screen. Trustees, may I have a motion to approve the department chairs as noted?
So moved.
Second?
Second. We move to a roll call vote. John Bartolotta,
Aye.
Joe Carbone,
Aye.
Dan DeLoss,
Aye.
Barbara Lobenheim,
Aye.
Benny Martinez,
Aye.
Dale Rakoff,
Aye.
Grace Tillinghast,
Aye.
and Alan Williams, aye. Having no abstentions or objections, the resolution is approved. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of Monroe Community College approves of following rank promotions effective September 1st, 2021, from Associate Professor to Professor, Michelle Finn, from Assistant Professor to Associate Professor, Diane Clements, and James McCusker. Trustees, may I have a motion to approve the rank promotions as noted?
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and second. Any discussion? Move to a roll call vote. John Bartolotta,
Aye.
Dr. Joe Carbone,
Aye.
Dan DeLoss,
Aye.
Barbara Lobenheim,
Aye.
Benny Martinez,
Aye.
Dale Rakoff,
Aye.
Grace Tillinghast,
Aye.
Alan Williams, aye. Being no abstentions or objections, the resolution is approved, and congratulations to Ms. Finn, Ms. Clements, and Mr. McCusker on your promotions. Resolve the Board of Trustees of Monroe Community College adjust the 2021-2022 base annual salaries in accordance with Article 47 of the current contractual agreement with the Faculty Association, adjusted salaries effective September 1st, 2021 for the following members. You see the members listed in front of us. Trustees, may I have a motion to approve the faculty workload buy downs as noted?
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and second. Any discussion? Move to a roll call vote. Trustee Bartolotta,
Aye.
Dr. Joe Carbone,
Aye.
Dan DeLoss,
Aye.
Barbara Lobenheim,
Aye.
Benny Martinez,
Aye.
Dale Rakoff,
Aye.
Grace Tillinghast,
Aye.
Alan Williams, aye. Having no abstentions or objections, the resolution is adopted or approved. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of Monroe Community College approve the following changes to the Faculty Senate bylaws. Incorporation of inclusive pronouns, replacement of the term non-teaching staff with professional staff in the document, and adoption of the amendments as listed below, effective upon approval by the Board of Trustees, which is in attachment 6. Trustees, may I have a motion to approve the changes to the Faculty Senate bylaws as noted in attachment 6?
So moved.
So moved.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? Move to a roll call vote. Trustee John Bartolotta,
Aye.
Dr. Joe Carbone,
Aye.
Dan DeLoss,
Aye.
Barbara Lovenheim,
Aye.
Benny Martinez,
Aye.
Dale Rakoff,
Aye.
Grace Tillinghast,
Aye.
Alan Williams, aye. Having no abstentions or objections, the resolution is adopted. Please refer to the information items in attachment 1. Eileen Worley, would you like to provide any additional information to the board regarding this item?
No, I think you have the material. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Just one, if I could, Eileen, are there any, I guess, ongoing requirements of the GLBA that were not current, that this addresses?
This particular requirement to do cybersecurity training is a requirement of GLBA, and we are compliant. I just checked today, and this number fluctuates as people come and go, but we're currently at 92% compliance with our annual training. And of course, we have the phishing campaigns with follow-up refresher training for people who click. So we are, in comparison to our peers, we are doing very well on this particular requirement.
And it certainly was reflected in the audit. I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, then this includes the Personnel and Programs Committee report. I will now ask Chairman of the Nominating Committee, John Bartolotta, to read the next resolution.
Thank you, Chair. Our official chair, soon to be. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of Monroe Community College duly elects the officers nominated to serve, the following officers nominated to serve until the next annual meeting of the Board of Trustees and or until their successors have been elected and qualified. Chair of the Board, Alan K. Williams. Vice Chair, Daniel M. DeLouse. Trustees, may I have a motion to approve the officers of the board as detailed?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
is there any discussion? I'd like to make a few comments. I know I have a resolution here that I think the new chair will be reading, or unless it's my obligation, but I think the new chair will be reading. But I want to say, Alan, your predecessor, Robert Lovenheim, has done an outstanding job as chair. And I can't tell you how much of a pleasure it has been for myself, and I'm sure my colleagues, to have worked with her. Barbara, MCC has been very, very fortunate to have you lead this board and be part of the fabric of MCC for so many years. And I just want to tell you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. But I'm still looking forward to working with you for many, many more meetings. And thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Thank you to all of the trustees. It's been an honor for me to work with you as chair, to work on the search committee, and now to hand the gavel over to my friend, Alan Williams.
Great. Well, thank you. And now I'll call the roll. All in favor? John Bartolotta, aye. Joe Carbone?
Aye.
Dan DeLoss?
Aye.
Barbara Lovenheim?
Aye.
Benny Martinez?
Aye.
Dale Rakoff?
Aye.
Grace Tillinghast?
Aye.
And the new chair, Alan Williams.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Congratulations. That's as well.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
And
Motion
it's,
is-
may I just say,
Resolution has been approved and passed. Thank you.
it has been a long time since two gentlemen are the chair and vice chair of the board. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I would say that my sentiments are exactly in line with what John said, that Barbara's done an outstanding job as being chair. And I will endeavor to carry on the work that she has done at the same level of I think, expertise and competence. So thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome, Alan.
Yeah.
And Alan, I've been delighted to work with you as well. And I know you're going to make a great chair. We've been on a few road shows together, and I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to working with you as well, for albeit a shorter time, but I'm looking forward to working with you as well. So there.
And now I will ask Dr. Douglas to read the following resolution, and then read the following resolution, if you would.
Thank you, Chair Williams. Whereas Dr. Barbara P. Lovenheim assumed the chairpersonship of the Monroe Community College Board of Trustees in 2017 after serving as a member for 5 years. And whereas Dr. Barbara P. Lovenheim's leadership of the Board of Trustees included serving as the chair of the Personnel and Programs Committee and as a member of the Finance and Facilities, Policy Planning, Ad hoc Bylaws, and Risk Management Committees. And whereas Dr. Barbara P. Lovenheim embraced opportunities for the college to emerge as a recognized leader in the guided pathways movement, career technical education and workforce development, and as a champion for student success through the MCC Foundation's historic $50 million Every Bright Future Deserves a Strong Foundation campaign. And whereas Dr. Barbara P. Lovenheim's board leadership reflected her commitment to shared governance, high ethical standards, inclusion, accountability, and transparency, evidenced by her establishing college forums that ensured respectful and civil discourse between the Board of Trustees and members of the college community. And whereas Dr. Barbara P. Lovenheim co-chaired MCC's Presidential Search Advisory Committee, along with Rebecca Babcock, chair of the Faculty Senate's Special Committee for Administrative Affairs, culminating in the State University of New York's appointment of Dr. Deanna Bertnana as the college's 6th president. And whereas Dr. Barbara P. Lovenheim incorporated her experience and perspective as MCC Professor Emerita of English to strengthen the college's resolve to safely and effectively educate and serve students during the coronavirus pandemic, while successfully navigating significant public funding constraints facing higher education. And whereas Dr. Barbara P. Lovenheim's exemplary trustee service was recognized by the New York Community College Trustees in 2015 through the Donald M. Mawhinney Junior Trustee Leadership Award, and by the American Association of University Administrators in 2021 through the Dan L. King Award for Outstanding College Trustee Leadership. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the Monroe Community College Board of Trustees, extend our sincere gratitude and appreciation to Dr. Barbara P. Lovenheim for her outstanding leadership of this board during a pivotal time in the college's history, and for her role in positioning the college to achieve its mission of access, academic excellence, and inclusiveness for years to come.
Thank you, Dr. Douglas, for reading that so beautifully, and for all the support you've given me over this past year as chair of the board. I also, again, want to thank the trustees. You are a wonderful group with whom to work, and it has been my honor and pleasure to be part of this whole experience with you. It's been quite a year. We've needed each other. It takes a village, and you have been my village through all of this. So again, thank you all. And I look forward to Alan's chairpersonship and all of the things that we as a board have to work on together in the coming year.
Trustees, I have a motion to approve the resolution in recognition of Dr. Lovenheim.
So
So
moved.
moved.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Move to a roll call vote. Trustee Bartolotta,
Aye.
Dr. Carbone,
Aye.
Dan DeLoss,
Aye.
Barbara Lobenheim,
Aye.
Benny Martinez,
Aye.
Dale Rakoff,
Aye.
Grace Tillinghast,
Aye.
and Alan Williams, aye. Having no abstentions or objections, the resolution is adopted. Dr. Lobenheim, would you please read the following resolution?
I will be pleased to read that, Chair Williams. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Whereas Dr. Catherine P. Douglas has commendably served as Monroe Community College's interim president for the past 15 months as it searched for its 6th permanent president. And whereas Dr. Catherine P. Douglas has kept the college on course to achieve its vision as a champion of equity, opportunity, innovation, and excellence while transforming students' lives and communities. And whereas Dr. Catherine P. Douglas's leadership and steadfastness inspired MCC faculty, staff, and students to respond courageously and safely to a worldwide pandemic, significant revenue challenges, and unceasing changes in higher education, including an immediate transition to fully remote and online teaching and learning as required by New York State, the State University of New York, and Monroe County. And whereas Dr. Catherine P. Douglas's caring and consistent efforts to connect with faculty, staff, and students through MCC town halls, her Quotes That Inspire series, and talkabouts with Dr. Kate provided ways for the college family to stay informed and develop meaningful relationships with her through virtual means that will not soon be forgotten. And whereas Dr. Catherine P. Douglas has graciously led by example, encouraging colleagues and students to prioritize their health, wellness, safety, and self-care while acknowledging their determination, commitment, and creativity that resulted in rewarding educational experiences during the spring 2020, fall 2020, and spring 2021 semesters. And whereas Dr. Catherine P. Douglas has represented MCC as a vital and valued partner to national, state, regional, and local leaders and strengthened the college's reputation for excellence and civic mindedness. And whereas under Dr. Catherine P. Douglas's leadership as MCC interim president from February 2020 through May 2021, more than 2,000 MCC students earned certificates and degrees that are opening doors to career and transfer opportunities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Board of Trustees of Monroe Community College, on this 12th day of April 2021, approve that the lobby leading to the Leroy V. Good Library on the Brighton campus be known as the Dr. Catherine P. Douglas Portico, in honor of her can-do spirit, leadership, and positive presence that helped MCC maintain its focus on student success. And be it further resolved that we, the members of the Monroe Community College Board of Trustees, hereby extend our deep gratitude and appreciation to Dr. Catherine P. Douglas for her inspiring leadership during unusually challenging times, and extend our sincere best wishes for continued good health, happiness, and personal success. Thank you, Kate, from all of us.
I'm stunned. I'm stunned. Thank you. I am so honored. Oh my gracious, thank you so very much.
Oh, trustees, may I have a motion to approve the resolution in recognition of Dr. Kate Douglas?
So moved.
Second.
Then moved and second. We'll move to a roll call vote. Trustee Bartolotta,
Aye.
Dr. Joe Carbone,
Aye. Bravo.
Dr. Dan DeLoss,
Aye.
Barbara Lobenheim,
Aye.
Benny Martinez,
Aye. Thank you, Dr. Douglas.
I'm sorry. Dale Rakoff,
Aye.
Grace Tillinghast,
Aye.
Alan Williams, aye. Any, being no opposition or abstentions, the motion, the resolution is unanimously adopted. Again, thank you, Dr. Douglas.
Thank you, Chair Williams. And many of you know that I have a special place in my heart for libraries, and the fact that the portico will have my name, it just, I am very grateful. Thank you.
We wanted to have a place that was meaningful to you, but we also wanted to look at this as a place symbolic, as a metaphor for you leading us through this past year. There will be so many students who will go through this portico and will have the education that they so much want.
Of course, the poet would have a metaphor. Of course. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you all. I'm so honored.
Trustees, unless there is further business to discuss, this concludes the business portion of our meeting. We will now go into the informational portion of the Board of Trustees meeting. I had asked Christy Fogel to provide a SUNY update.
Good afternoon, trustees, and it's very difficult to follow those two amazing resolutions for really both incredible leaders, and thank you for everything that both of you have done for MCC. So I wanted to give you a few updates of what's happening around the SUNY system and what the Faculty Council of Community Colleges is working on. One of the first, I want to start with these SUNY initiatives. We have what's called the REAP, which is the Racial Equity Action Plan. You may have heard of this. It was a 25-point action plan for recommendations to the SUNY system about various ways that we can increase our diversity, equity, and inclusion. The SUNY board started a new committee, a subcommittee on diversity, equity, and inclusion that I am now a part of. I'm a member of that committee. And you may also remember the Prodigy plan, the Prodigy program that was started under Chancellor Johnson. And the whole idea of Prodigy is to hire underrepresented minorities as faculty members. And now we're looking at including potentially some counselors and other areas to get more community college involvement in that. Right now, most of the 149 appointments that have been made to the state operated campuses, and they have all been teaching faculty. So system administration is looking at ways to include community colleges in that. Another initiative is SUNY General Education. As many of you may know, our current Gen Ed plan has been around since 1998 with very few changes. We formed a committee, the General Education Committee, and we sent out a proposal for comments. Comments are due on the 25th of this month. We're encouraging anyone and everyone to gather and create a list of comments about this proposal, because this is one of the biggest things I think curriculum wise that we've had in a long time through SUNY. There's a website or a survey to fill out for comments, and we're encouraging everyone to do that. And this new proposal includes knowledge areas, courses similar to what we've done in the past, less, and also competencies, infused competencies. So please read through it, trustees, if you haven't seen it. We're trying to come up with a Gen Ed plan for students that are in this 21st century and beyond. And if we had a crystal ball, we would know what they need beyond, but we're really trying to look at what they need rather than understanding how to turn on a computer. You may have heard that we are going to a new learning management system. Blackboard will no longer be our learning management system, and that has been selected, and each college will determine their implementation date. It's December 2022 is when the Blackboard contract will end, and all of the colleges will determine whether they want to be onboarding throughout that academic year or even before. Student mental health, I'm sure as you understand, this has been a huge discussion over the last year and a half because of COVID. We've had a student mental health and wellness task force working on various items for this task force, including we sent out a survey, and the survey asked faculty, staff, students about the mental health, what was available on their campus. And one of the things that came out of this committee was another committee that the chancellor started, which is called the SUNY, the Student Voices Action Committee. And this is a group of students from all over the state who get together and talk about how they're feeling, what they know about their campus and other campuses. And out of this came the grants for food pantry refrigerators. I know Monroe got one of those grants, as well as 24 other campuses. So to this date, 25 campuses have received those food pantry refrigerators. This group, the task force, also worked on the SNAP eligibility, which was expanded to enrolled students. And we also have a mental health counseling for students through upstate and downstate telehealth. We've been looking at peer-to-peer hotlines for students, and also some partnerships between campuses and external providers so that we can refer students outside. A few actions that we've taken on the SUNY Board of Trustees or with the chancellor. We have hired new general counsel at SUNY, and we had our general counsel left about a year and a half ago to go to the governor's office. So we did hire a new SUNY legal counsel at our last board meeting. And we also appointed the new president of Fulton Montgomery Community College. It's Dr. Gregory Trunkenmiller, who's been at the college for many years. He was the provost, and then he was the acting president. We still have 3 ongoing presidential searches: Dutchess, Erie, and Suffolk. And Suffolk, we were hoping to announce on we had a board meeting last Tuesday, but it got delayed because of various reasons. We couldn't get together for an interview. So that hopefully will be at our May meeting. And the Dutchess and Erie we're shooting for for a July announcement on their new presidents. As you may know, we've been also discussing face-to-face graduation ceremonies, and guidance has been submitted to our presidents and our chief academic officers. Basically, we'll follow New York State events, arts, and entertainment guidance, whatever at that point that we have our graduation ceremonies, whatever that guidance is. And lastly, I just wanted to tell you about our Faculty Council of Community Colleges. We just had our plenary last Thursday and Friday. It was virtual again. Hopefully this is the last virtual plenary. And a few things that we've been working on is we are planning a binder for all of our new presidents and provosts. And to start off, I think we're going to give them to the existing presidents and provosts to introduce ourselves and to provide information about SUNY shared governance and shared governance within our system. We're also creating Guided Pathways Best Practice document that's based on campuses who have already adopted the guided pathways. We sent out a survey to get some information on campuses because we have several that are still in the implementation process, and it was a why reinvent the wheel situation. So we thought if we could get other campuses to give their best practices or what didn't work well guidance, it would be very helpful to those campuses. We as an FCCC are compiling comments on the new Gen Ed plan, and we will submit ours as well as we're hoping all 30 community colleges also submit some comments to the Gen Ed plan. From what I understand, I haven't seen the comments, but we've already received quite a few, so I'm really happy to hear that. SUNY put out a student remote instruction survey last year, asking questions about the switch to remote learning. And we have one of our committees that are reviewing that. And they're looking at ways that we can improve for our faculty and students any type of remote instruction. And then during our plenary last week, we also approved 3 resolutions. The first one on faculty modality decisions, as far as faculty not being forced to teach in a modality that they're not comfortable with or have not been trained in. We have a commendation for funding for the community colleges. As you know, the budget came out, and although it didn't make community colleges whole, we are in a much better place than we were 2 months ago. So we want to commend everyone around SUNY who really worked very hard to advocate for us. And the last one was about the new learning management system selection, the reminder to please include governance, faculty governance, and anything that would affect us in our teaching. And thank you very much for your time. And that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Christy. Now I would like to ask Interim President Douglas to give her report.
Thank you, Chair Williams. And as this is my final trustees meeting, I know you all have received my regular report. So I would like to spend just a moment reflecting a little bit on my time at MCC. You know, this has been my first interim experience and my first pandemic experience. While these things happen simultaneously, I really don't know that I've had the time and attention to really reflect deeply. But what I can say is that I am grateful for this opportunity to serve the people of MCC, trustees, faculty, staff, students, foundation, and the community, to get to know your many strengths, to get to know and experience your many kindnesses has truly been my honor. And to be engaged in this community college enterprise of open access higher education, a cause that I am absolutely passionate about during this generational challenge of COVID, is not something I would want to have been on the sidelines for. And you, trustees, you served as the coaches that put me in the game. So thank you for that. And I do have just a few takeaways that I can share at this time. I know that this experience affirmed that many of us can do online and virtual teaching and learning, but in-person experiences matter. They matter greatly. Second, I know that higher education and MCC will be different on the other side of this pandemic, but it is up to MCC to decide what the balance will be between bricks and mortar and online virtual. And finally, you remember you hired the outdoor educator, right? So I'm going to get on my soapbox just for one step and say that during this pandemic, we learned we can make a difference for this planet. We learned that we can reduce carbon emissions. We can see the night sky without blurring. We have zoo animals prepared to have babies they never had before because they had privacy. We made a difference for our planet during this pandemic. That is an existential threat that we need to pay attention to. And finally, I'm going to close, and those of you who speak other languages, please forgive my pronunciation, but our son Matt did his undergraduate international experience in Portugal. And there's a word in Portuguese called saudade. And my understanding is it's a word that holds simultaneously both the concept of loss, which we have had so much loss these last 15 months, with the belief in hope. Saudade. This is what I depart MCC with, saudade, a recognition of all that has been lost, but with a feeling of great hope for a future that is better, stronger, and brighter than ever. Thank you, MCC.
Thank you, Dr. Douglas. I will now ask cabinet members to give their reports. The first of whom is Calvin Gann, our Chief Diversity Officer.
Thank you. I'm glad to be able to say Chair Williams. So you've all received the report, and I'm not going to go over the entirety of the report. Where I think I would like to spend the majority of my time is talking about the 25-point diversity, equity, and inclusion plan. Before I begin that, I want to always, as usual, recognize my colleagues who've done some programming across campus. One of the things that I'm proud of being able to do since I've been at MCC is build relationships across different divisions and bring those people together to look at how we can improve our efforts to provide programming in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. So on the report, you can see what programs have taken place over the last month. And one of the things that I'm proud of that will be added to my partnerships soon will be the liaison to the Support Staff Planning Council. We've had our first meeting together, and so I'm looking forward to the work that we're going to be doing moving forward. So as I stated, I want to focus the majority of the time on the 25-point plan, and I want to thank Christy for kind of spearheading that and giving an insight into it. But for those who haven't had a chance to look at it, it's about 37 pages in length. It's not overly complicated, but it is very detailed in terms of what SUNY is now laying out as its first level action plan for bridging equity gaps that exist within the SUNY system. They have 6 primary areas of focus that they're looking at in this action plan. The first is an assessment of racial equity gaps. The second is faculty-driven curriculum development towards racial equity. The third is a review of the Chief Diversity Officer's role on every campus. The fourth is how SUNY can increase diversity in hiring. The fifth is how to increase college credits from prior learning and transfer credit. And the last is improving campus life for the broad diversity of all SUNY students. And so as you go through that plan and take a look at it, it's broken down by multitude of recommendations, many of which we are going to have to adopt at MCC, but I'm proud to also say that there are quite a few in there that we've already begun to work on before this plan even came into existence. So again, I encourage you strongly, if you have not had a chance to read through that, to really take a look at that, because it does provide a ton of information that I think is extremely important for members of the Board of Trustees and our college community to be aware of as it relates to where we stand as a SUNY-wide entity, as well as what we look like at MCC. The fact that our students of color represent 10 to 15% of our population, where our faculty and staff fall somewhere into the 4 to 7% range, is not reflective of the student body that we will be serving now and will be serving in the future. So again, without going into detail, I would say there's a ton in there for us to do, and I'm looking forward to working with you all, as well as the remainder of the college community, to move forward these initiatives so that we are creating a more diverse and equitable community for all of the students, faculty, and staff that come to our institution. So that will end my report.
Next will be Kim McKinsey Mabry, the Acting Vice President for Student Services.
Great, good evening. Thank you, Chair Williams, trustees and colleagues. We've talked a lot about face-to-face, so I just want to highlight 2 particular things. One, talking about face-to-face. And so based on the data and the anecdotal information that we have received from students this past year, we know that there are a significant number of individuals who've opted out of pursuing higher education. They've decided not to enter or continue their studies with MCC due primarily to the online remote delivery of courses, amongst many other challenges that they faced over the last year. So MCC made the decision on March 19th to postpone student registration. And the reason we decided to postpone student registration was to determine whether or not we could increase the number of face-to-face offerings. And we've gotten up to about 50% that we believe we can offer safely following state and CDC guidelines going forward. And so the enrollment management team led rapid communication to students, which included text messages, emails, updates on My MCC and the MCC website, as well as direct mail postcards to current and prospective students to inform them of the new dates. So we're excited about what fall 2020 will bring to our students, hopefully engaging more students than we have been this past year during the pandemic. Our new registration dates include April 26th, and that will be for currently enrolled students who have 12 or more credits, and also all our veteran population. April 28th will be for all currently enrolled students, so there's some level of priority for students who've completed equivalent to 1 semester or more. And May 3rd will be open registration to all new, transfer, and readmit students. So we're excited about the opportunity for fall and hope that our enrollment numbers will also indicate such. And the second thing that I just want to highlight is we have continued to see incredible growth across our social media platforms, which includes Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, which have now reached more than 74,000. LinkedIn 142%, so we're extremely excited about that. And the Dr. Holloway Young Liberty Medal post received more than 200 likes and was shared well over 70 times. And so congratulations again to Dr. Young on that achievement. Thank you, and this concludes Student Services highlights for today.
Next is Todd Oldham, Vice President, Economic and Workforce Development.
Thank you, Chair Williams, and good evening. I'd just like to highlight a couple of items from the report that we've submitted. The first was just sort of as we moved into wrapping up our campaign for youth apprenticeship. We're pleased to say signing over 50 youth apprentices at the time of the report submission, and that's over 120 for the total campaign, 120 youth apprenticeship applicants. So this puts MCC as one of the larger youth apprenticeship programs within New York State, and we were able to continue to build that during COVID. I'd like to acknowledge the work of Director Dale Pierce as well as Coordinator Mike Smith for that work. And the other item I'd like to highlight was as we move toward the opening of the Finger Lakes Workforce Development Center, we are beginning to acquire equipment, and pleased to say that we acquired our first set of FANUC robotics equipment, which is will be our first formal robotics lab within the Edwards division. And so those have been received. We've inserted a picture for you on some of that equipment. That's presently going to be at Aceman Business Park, where we have our pilot site, but that will move at the end of the year over to the Finger Lakes Workforce Development Center, the downtown campus. And then lastly, we continue to participate in COVID recovery activity within the community. We have participated in a regional, the Rochester Downtown Development Corporation webinars, as well as participated in the Rochester Business Journal COVID recovery edition of their journal. And so we provided that article for you that summarizes basically Ford Center as a COVID recovery initiative of the college. That's the highlights I'd like to make from the report. Thank you.
Next is Hezzy Simmons, the CFO.
Good afternoon. I usually take this particular segment of the meeting to talk a little bit about what my employees are doing. So today, we emphasize in personnel. And so my employees from the facilities organization have completed their second promotional video to be used for student recruitment. Lane Grindle, our facilities vice president, associate vice president, joined admissions for a tour of the college with prospective students back in 2018. And what he heard from the students were questions that quickly captured their initial reactions to MCC's campus and facilities. Blaine then engaged his building service staff to work together to put together a video in of 2018 that could be used for promoting MCC's campus. Blaine and his entire facilities divisional team worked together in March of 2021, that is last month, to create a post-pandemic updated video to be used for student recruitment. So video 1 was called Welcome to MCC. Video 2 is called We Care, created to address the concerns expressed by students and employees about returning to the campus. Numerous questions have arisen about the safety on campus. Our plan was to produce another video that illustrated the steps we have been taking to keep the campus safe. The script was once again written by Jeff Goodrell. The video will hopefully explain the extra measures we are taking to keep the campus safe and our commitment that we care. Please roll the video.
With everything going on in the world today, we here in facilities have taken many measures to ensure that your health and safety is our #1 priority while you earn your college education.
From providing hand sanitizing stations all around the campus to promote hand hygiene and to help avoid getting sick,
to placing decals and signage that help promote safe and healthy social distancing.
We take extra precautions college-wide to clean and disinfect services and touch points.
Using some of today's best high-tech cleaning equipment and proven cleaning solutions.
We want to make sure we are doing everything possible to give you peace of mind as you navigate through our hallways and use our facilities.
But we didn't stop there. Our maintenance and engineering crews have also worked to implement important additions to the college.
Like installing partitions to protect you and our employees so they can continue to serve you as safely as possible.
To remodeling familiar spaces.
And upgrading classrooms and labs.
We want to make sure that the air that you breathe is as clean and safe as the surfaces you touch.
By installing hospital-grade air filters in all of our HVAC systems.
Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. We hope you found it informative. Contrary to what you might think, these were not professional actors. They are, however, professional facilities employees. This hardworking team wanted you to know that we care about your well-being and we're prepared for your return.
Thank you. So the one thing I hope you noted in that short video was the diversity of that organization. And they are committed to MCC. Thank you.
All right. Very good. Andrea Wade, Provost.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the chance to share a little bit about what's happening in academic services. I'm going to move a little bit quickly because I'm going to have the privilege to turn over some of my time to let you know about an upcoming event. I do want to draw your attention to some new micro-credentials that are listed in the report. You'll see one is related to the presentation Professor John Little gave at a previous meeting about geospatial information systems. I was able to actually visit some classrooms during the virtual Open Classrooms Week sponsored by the Teaching and Creativity Center. I got to sit in on 5 different classes in several different departments. I draw your attention to the On the second page, some national and some regional recognition that some of our faculty and staff have gotten for the work that they've been doing. And I want to piggyback a little bit on what Vice President Mackenzie Mabry was talking about in our move to a more face-to-face presentation style in the fall, and really thank our faculty, our chairs, and our deans, who again have redone the master schedule in a very short time. And it's very data informed based on previous patterns of student participation. We don't want to lose our online because that's always been a strength, but we want to create more opportunities for face-to-face. And I really want to acknowledge the tremendous amount of work and effort that it's taking to put those courses back face-to-face when we don't know yet what the social distancing and other requirements are. I want to thank those people who have literally been working around the clock to do so. I want to finally draw your attention to under the personnel section of the academic services report, where I have some folks who are going to tell you about an upcoming event that again highlights the creativity, the inventiveness that our faculty show in working with students under these unusual circumstances. And I'll turn it over to Dean Dr. Mike Jacobs, and he will tell you a little bit about something that I hope you'll have the time and the availability to connect with later on this month.
Thank you, Provost Wade, and thank you for having me, Board of Trustees. I'm here with colleagues today to announce the spring 2021 event for MCC's Institute for the Humanities, which we're calling Culture, History, and Memory, Bridging Rochester's Past and Present. And I'm going to introduce you to the architects of this event in just a moment. But first, I wanted to provide a little bit of background on the Institute for those of you who are not familiar with it. I founded the IFH with colleagues from the Division of Humanities and Social Sciences and Library Services back in 2018 with the mission to provide relevant, timely, and high-quality arts and humanities educational programming for both MCC and the greater Rochester community. And in this, we are a public humanities enterprise. If you can go to the next slide, please. Our past events have explored topics as varied as the history of social justice activism in Rochester, intersections of STEM and liberal arts education, and building social capital amid a divisive socio-political climate. Next slide, please.
I said.
There you go. So we have collaborated with local artists,
working around the clock,
scholars, activists, and students in the development of our programming, and our work has been covered by numerous regional media outlets. Next slide, please. So on April 28th, we will hold a virtual forum that explores the crossroads of history, politics, and photography. And to discuss that in greater detail, I'm joined by two faculty members who conceived of and developed this exciting program, Professors Jasna Bogdanovska of our Visual and Performing Arts Department, and Joe Scanlon of our Anthropology, History, Political Science, and Sociology Department. And they are joined by one of the student participants, Nicole Dowdy. And so I'm going to hand things over to those faculty members and student. If we go to the next slide, please. Joe and Jasna and Nicole, please take it away.
Thank you very much for having us. I was just told by Professor Scanlon that his internet went out. Oh, here he is. Okay. He's back. Okay. It's all you, Joe.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, just a brief connection issue. So this project essentially got started with us recognizing that not only do we live in highly polarized times, but we live at a time of isolation that's essentially compounded by COVID. So at a time when we need community, right, it's largely absent and it's difficult to build community. So we start asking ourselves, essentially how can we contribute to community building and we wanted to do something that was interdisciplinary, academically meaningful, and would involve our students. And so we essentially came up with this project that combined political science and photography. And in my end, students wrote texts, essays, to go along with Professor Bogdanovska's work that she did with her students. And the texts essentially really kind of get into looking at our area's past, specifically past historical figures and movements that essentially really teach us important lessons that we can carry with us into the future about creating a better community and stronger communities, lessons about inclusivity, freedom, and equality. So what can we take from the past to help guide us into the future? Essentially, what we want to do, the ultimate goal here is to contribute to a bit of what we would call collective memory. And that is essentially values and knowledge that we can pass down as time unfolds that become embedded in life in Rochester. And so the students, my political science students that worked on this, Nicole Doty, Marisol Morales, Bernard Alexander, and Ruth Dalton, all did an excellent job writing essays to go along with the photography. And the essays that they wrote were about Frederick Douglass, Hester Jeffrey, Susan B. Anthony, Emma Goldman, and the settlement house movement here in Rochester. So I'll pass it along to Professor Bogdanovska.
Thank you. If we can go to the next slide, please. So in terms of the visual portion of the project, there were many different steps and stages that the photography students had to take in order to be able to photograph on location. The first step that they had to do was to research archival photographs in different museums and libraries, and to find images that are connecting to our history in Rochester and to the movements and the historical figures that Professor Scanlon just talked about. After that part was done, they were researching important locations in Rochester that were connecting to these figures and movements. The next step was location scouting, going to those locations, and then receiving permissions to photograph at the chosen locations. At the same time, we had to make sure that we have the usage rights for the archival images. Then we had to edit the images to fit the locations, and then photograph at location nighttime, because we were projecting these archival images on the locations. Different things. That was production, editing, and preparing the images for the exhibition that we will have towards the end of this month. So if we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So this is just the students being on location and photographing. If we can go to the next slide, please. So we'll just give you a glimpse of what you can expect at the online exhibition. This is one of the images that one of the photography students, Bethany Couture, did of image of Frederick Douglass projected at Corinthian Hall. And this was a location where Frederick Douglass actually gave the famous 5th of July speech in 1852. If we can go to the next one, please. So we were combining images as well as quotes from these historical figures. Next one, please. This is image projected at the Baden Street Settlement House. And this image is by Melissa Tylock, also a VCO2 student. Next one, please. Next one. I know we don't have much time, so I'm kind of rushing through these, but I hope all of you will come to our online exhibition and the panel that we have. This is a location that connects Hester Jeffrey and Susan B. Anthony. This is where Susan B. Anthony gave one of speech Jeffrey did in honor of Susan Anthony. If we can go to the next one. And these images are by Omar Abdul. Next one, please. This is obviously a Jiva Theater. It's a photograph of Emma Goldman. And these images are created by student Megan Riley. Thank you. If you can go to the next one, please. So this is all of us on location. It was just beautiful to see how invested and excited the students were on both sides, the political science students and the photography students. It was just inspiring for us to see them work. And at the same time for us, it started as an idea, and it was wonderful to see that we were able to make it a reality. But when we saw how excited and how wonderful this learning experience was for them, it was even better. So we hope that we will come to the exhibition, and we have a panel on April 28th with 3 amazing panelists. We have a National Geographic photographer who was also at the New York Times, showing work in the New York Times, and also an educator. We have the first few, all 3 of them will be our panelists on April 28th. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, professors, and thank you to the Board of Trustees for your time. My name is Nicole Dowdy, and I'm one of the political science students working on this project. From the student perspective, this project was a really transformative academic and social experience. I got to collaborate with both fellow political science students and students in a discipline I'm not familiar with, photography. And seeing our collective efforts pay off through the photo shoots for this visual arts project was really rewarding. By bringing different disciplines together, this project emphasized inclusion, tolerance, equity, and community, which are principles driving this project. And our research taught us all a great deal about the hidden gems of Rochester's history, including both iconic figures and some of the often overlooked but significant figures from our history. And we really learned what this legacy of activism can teach us to inform our own actions going forward, and how we can incorporate those values into our community building efforts, particularly in divisive and isolating times. And in closing, I'd just like to thank the board and my professors again for your time and all that you do for our college.
And just to close, I want to encourage everyone to register for this event. It's in Detroit, but you can also do it by going to sites.monroecc.edu/humanities. Registration is free, and you'll be able to experience the forum, ask questions in the Q&A, and also be there for the unveiling or the opening of this wonderful virtual student photography and text exhibition. So thank you all.
And thank you to my colleagues for presenting this. And I again want to acknowledge the creativity and the fact that this again represents coming together of MCC truly being a community college and reaching into the community and connecting. And I really appreciate the chance to share this with the trustees.
Very good. Now, Gretchen Wood, Vice President of Institutional Advancement and Executive Director of the Foundation.
Thank you, Chair Williams. As I listen to all the other reports, I'm again struck by how the work of institutional advancement is really interwoven to a lot of things that you've heard about this evening. In government and community relations, the interim executive director of government and community relations, Rosanna Ewell, has been active with the New York State budget advocacy process on behalf of Monroe Community College. She also helped to coordinate a submission of MCC's application for community project funding for Congressman Morelli's consideration. This is a proposal with Dr. Todd Oldham, and it is to enhance the work being done at the Finger Lakes Workforce Development Center. So we'll hope that this is a project that is further considered. In institutional compliance, in addition to their work on the single audit, they've been leading the effort to create a vendor contract assessment process to further reduce data security risks. I think that we're always grateful for ways that we can enhance the security at Monroe Community College. And in institutional research, Director William Dixon presented with Dr. Douglas at the League for Innovation on the impact of the CARES Act funding. We've had the opportunity to share that with you before. It is certainly our intention to continue to learn from that extraordinary funding and how it has impacted our students and how we can further support students going forward. We've also been engaged with updating enrollment projections and administering surveys. They not only did they facilitate a fall 2021 opinion survey of employees, current students, and students who left the institution, but also worked to have one comprehensive student needs survey to help prevent survey fatigue in our students, and also in a way to enhance the number of responses that we get to those surveys so that we have the best data possible. And I'm pleased that the chair of the MCC Foundation Board is here this evening, so he'll be able to share with you some highlights from the MCC Foundation's activities.
Okay. Right. Well, to the cabinet members, as well as to the presenters, I want to thank you for your reports. And I will now ask MCC Foundation Chair Sergio Esteban to come forward and report for the foundation.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Like always, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today. Before I start my report, I wanted to congratulate on behalf of our board of directors to new chair Ellen Williams and vice chair Dandy Laus for their new responsibilities. Obviously, you have our support in anything that we can be of help. And also my sincere thanks on behalf of the board to Barbara Lovenheim, Dr. Douglas, for the wonderful work that you have done, and which is really phenomenal. Next slide, please. I want to report on the upcoming events and good news that we have from the foundation. As we talked about at the last meeting, the 23rd annual Gold Star Gala is coming up. It's going to be on April 24th. Invitations have been mailed for this year's gala. This event is sponsored by M&T Bank, one of our proud and supporters. And our friends at Dixon Schwabel, who developed the invitation, did a phenomenal job. I invite all of you and encourage you to tune in on April 24th in the 13 WHAM TV event. It will be a 1 hour long broadcast featuring inspiring stories about MCC students, and I promise you it will be a great time. In your packets, we have included underwriting information. I encourage you to consider or encourage other people that you may know to become a sponsor, pledging a scholarship, bidding on any auction items. There will be wonderful items for us to bid on, or simply making a donation to support all the great projects that we are working on. Also related to the gala and the invitation, I want to tell you that the work by Dixon Schwabel, every year they do themselves, and you never know what the limit is going to be of their creativity, but it seems not to have any limit. They do a great job. But they work very closely also with our staff and the committee, so together it's a perfect combination to produce great results. And I want to tell you that the recent Rochester Advertising Federation's Addis Awards, the invitation won not only the best of show, which is a top honor, but also won the best in print, and also won 3 another golds. So a tremendous success for great work. Also, what is significant is the judges for these awards come from industry professionals from 5 different cities. And obviously getting this top award they tell you the kind of work that we do here by this wonderful company. It's quite an honor, and we are very happy for it. Next slide, please. Also, in your packets, you have the next one, please. Yeah. Also in your packet, we have the Alumni Hall of Fame nomination form. If you not remember from past year, usually the Salute to Excellence event, that usually is in November, and this year we don't know exactly the details of when and what their format is going to be. But anyway, what we start working on is to identifying who are nominated for the Alumni Hall of Fame. This is a much coveted and recognition. And in your packet, there's a form for you to think of someone that you may think they may be worthy of consideration. I'm sure you know someone that maybe could be honored, and that would be wonderful. So anyway, the process is very simple. If you have the nomination form, you include the name and you send it to us, and then we'll take it from there. I guess we don't know the details and of the event this year, but certainly we will have we will recognize the members to join the Alumni Hall of Fame. Next slide, please. And the last time for me to report is that we also talked about at the last Board of Trustees meeting is the 37th Annual Scholarship Open. And this event will take place on June 21st at the Country Club of Rochester. It is a wonderful event, and we're off to a very great start. We usually this golf tournament goes very fast. We have room for 32 foursomes, and as of now, we have 21 already committed. So there's still 11 room for 11 more. So if you could attend, that would be wonderful. There will be opportunities for you to golf. And also, there are non-sponsor or non-golfing sponsorships and other ways to participate. The details are for the event are included in your packets, how you can either participate as a golfer or in other many different ways. So I think we're up to another successful event. And again, the work of the committee and our staff is phenomenal, and I'm very confident that the next board meeting, we will tell you the results from these two events coming up, the one in April 24th and the one in June, with great success for the foundation to reach a level of funding that is going to help us many of the wonderful things that the MCC needs for our very lovely students. At the end of the day, both the Board of Trustees and the foundation, we have a common denominator, which is the students that we all support. And it's a great opportunity for us to do that. And we are very, very appreciative of your support as a Board of Trustees. And I can guarantee you the commitment that the foundation has to continue the good work that everybody does. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio. At this time, we will begin the shared governance portion of the meeting.
The shared governance leaders will have an opportunity to provide an update of no more than 5 minutes to the Board of Trustees. Speakers will not be able to share their allotted time with others. Student government, Brighton.
Good evening, guys. Thank you for allowing me to come tonight. I am going to do both shared governments tonight. President DeRubis was unable to stay for the whole meeting. So the SGA and SAGA have both been working hard on planning and collaborating with 40 other SUNY schools to host the SUNY's first virtual concert. The main performance is going to be Kesha, and the opening act is AJR. We're also planning the Spring Fling Drive-In movie event, which will take place on the 23rd. Elections for student government is taking place this week. We're starting the campaigning for that, and by next week we will be doing the voting. We've also have finished with the leadership cord, so we chose to do a lilac purple, which is also nice because it ties the Lilac Festival into our community too. And it's going to be for all student leaders that have finished their leadership training. And it is also including the RIAs for residential halls. That is my conclusion for my reports. Thank you again for your time.
Okay, Faculty Senate.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Nada Perez-Kane, the Faculty Senate President. Thank you, Trustee Lovenheim, for your service as chair, and I look forward to working with you, Chair Williams, in your new position. I really enjoyed that presentation by my colleagues, Joe and Yasna. Thank you for that, too. Here are some Senate updates. I attended the plenary, as Christy shared, hosted by the FCCC last week. And during the Campus Governance Leaders breakout session, we discussed the two outstanding SUNY proposals, the award of academic credit by evaluation and the new SUNY Gen Ed proposal. And those proposals are currently up for comment in our Senate Blackboard page, and we will send them to Provost Wade and comment directly with SUNY as well. We also discussed fall 2021 plans. Senate Curriculum Committee continues to work on the new database in addition to collecting all of this feedback. We're really pleased to hear about SUNY's increased FTE budget and reestablished floor of 98% of last year's funding moving forward. After this last year, we look forward to MCC investing directly in our students, faculty, and staff. Senate Executive Member Dr. Natasha Chen Christensen is representing the Faculty Senate on the Provost DEI Teaching Committee. Her work on critical race theory positions her well to serve on this committee. Senate continues to comment and vote on policy revisions, and we also endorse the Provost's plan to continue alternative grades through the end of fall 2021. Scott continues to work with administration on hiring key administrative positions. We do look forward to reviewing the work that administration, HR, the unions, and shared governance representatives have engaged in to clarify and outline our roles in administrative hiring. I want to take this time to personally acknowledge and thank Dr. Douglas for her time as interim president. Kate, we could not foresee what this last year would bring, but I speak for myself and for Senate when I say that you handled it with grace, commitment to try and understand where we are as an institution, and a steadfast dedication to listening to all sides. I recognize it was not easy taking over this leadership position when you did, but I'm grateful that you decided to take the challenge on. When faced with a challenge, you did not avoid the messy discussion surrounding it. Your optimism rang true, but always peppered with a commitment to needing to solve the issue at hand. You have heard me say time and time again that we still have problems to solve at MCC, and they all have equity and inclusion, ironically, at the heart of them. And this last year, you provided safe spaces to talk about those, and I'm grateful that we've begun those discussions in earnest. So I really appreciate the time we spent together. I will miss our one-on-one meetings in spite of having only one or two in person. I hope you will have fond memories of our working relationship, and I wish you the best. I will think of you each time I walk through the library portico when I finally get back to campus. Are there any questions from the board for me? All right, well, thank you very much.
Administration.
Thank you, Dr. Perez-Kane, for those kind thoughts. Shared governance is indeed live and well on the administrative side of the equation. We have continued our pilot of monthly meetings between the Executive Committee of Faculty Senate with Cabinet. Those have proven to be informative dialogues and give us an idea about what's important to each and how we can work well together. I had met with the Support Staff Planning Council, the new co-chairs, and I'm delighted, as you heard from Dr. Gant, that in that discussion, we talked about the need for a liaison between SSPC and Cabinet. Dr. Gant has taken that on, and already I can see the results of some of their work together. And I also had my final meeting with the student governance. Denise, thank you as always for your gracious welcome and lively conversations, whether it be about commencement or the upcoming band that you're hiring. I can always count on student governance to remind me of why we do what we do every day, the opportunity to help you succeed. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the work that the Faculty Senate did in changing the language within their bylaws to become more inclusive. It's important, it's time consuming, it's detail oriented, but it makes a clear statement about what's important at MCC, and inclusivity and respect is core to that. And I just want to acknowledge the work of the Senate in that regard. That concludes my report.
Okay, and Support Staff Planning Council.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jenny Peterson from nursing. My co-president is Sylvia Lavin from business administration. And another credit to Dr. Douglas. We were delighted to accept her invitation to meet with us regarding shared governance, our role in that, how we can work together to meet the goals of our strategic plan. And it was a really good meeting, a lot of good constructive comments from Dr. Douglas, and she did indeed introduce us, if you like, to Dr. Gant, and we had a very successful meeting with him on March 18th, and he has got some dynamite ideas for us. Dr. Douglas did meet with the entire council the very next day and stayed almost a whole hour, I believe. And again, it was just a wonderful idea. She's sharing information and took quite a few questions and answered, of course, beautifully. Thank you. So some of our activities, we hosted 2 brown bag sessions that addressed technology questions for support staff working remotely. Our presenters were Ann Penwarden and Christine Gallion. They did an amazing job and agreed to do 2 more. We're sponsoring 2 more brown bags regarding how to make the most of Microsoft Outlook. And those are coming up on April 22nd. 2 different times to allow for those people who are on the phones and assigned particular lunch hours to participate. Some activities coming up. We have an ongoing donation drive for the Res Hall students. They need quite a few items in their pantry and cupboards. We are assisting the Office of Student Life and Leadership Development with food donations and distribution for Dwight at both campuses. And we are in the process of revising the MCC tips. This is a rather comprehensive reference guide, not only for new people, but for people who are here. You know, there have been so many changes and some of us aren't quite sure who to ask and where people are. So that's going to be a very useful document that we will get posted on whatever's the new Blackboard, forgive me. And we're investigating instituting a support staff mentoring program to assist new employees to navigate this giant institution. And lastly, we want to acknowledge the contributions of 22-year MCC veteran Carmen Josie, who many of you know and love. And that is our report for today. Thank you.
At this time, we will begin the union update portion of the meeting.
I guess I just go. Hi, I'm Jennifer Hill. I am Vice President for Teaching Faculty of the MCC Faculty Association. It is my pleasure this evening to share the words of Bethany Gizzi, the President of the MCC Faculty Association. Good evening, Chair Williams, President Douglas, Dr. Burt Nannon, and members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. First, as this is Dr. Douglas's last board meeting, I too would like to thank you, Dr. Douglas, for your strong and steadfast leadership. No one would have predicted the turbulent times you would face as interim president. You have led us with grace, poise, and transparency. Thank you, and best wishes. As you are aware, the Faculty Association is actively negotiating our next contractual agreement. It is both a unique challenge and an opportunity to be negotiating at this time. The ongoing and projected enrollment decline suggests that we may be facing a budget crisis. Yet the recent news from the state budget and the $39 million MCC will receive in federal aid indicate otherwise. We have an opportunity to take stock of how we approach our budget and what we invest in at our college. MCC is at a turning point. As we prepare to welcome President Burt Nannon to MCC and to welcome back many of our students and employees to campus in the fall, we have the opportunity to reimagine the MCC that we want to build. Now is the time for us to invest in the employees and the services that directly support our students. Given the projected decline in new student populations, it is imperative that we invest in efforts to support and retain our current students. Our students and faculty want to return to campus, yet we want to do so in a way that ensures the safety of all members of our community. To that end, the Faculty Council recently sent a letter to the President and Cabinet urging them to reconsider a fall schedule that prioritizes on-campus classes with smaller class sizes to ensure proper social distancing. Smaller class sizes will not only allow us to return to face-to-face instruction safely, but research consistently suggests that smaller class sizes are linked to student success and retention, two things we must prioritize in this moment. We must also prioritize supporting the faculty and staff who are responsible for our student success. Faculty and staff have been working tirelessly over the past year to maintain some semblance of normalcy for our students. The college and our students have benefited from our commitment and our work. Now is the time for you, the members of the board, to commit to supporting, respecting, and valuing our faculty and staff. You can do that with a contract that is funded to ensure that we can continue to offer our best work to MCC and to our students. It is our work that is directly responsible for student learning and student success. By investing in our work, you are investing in our students. The past year has been a difficult one for all of us, but we all know that the past few years have been difficult ones for those of us at MCC. Now is the time for us to write a new chapter in MCC's history. Let's work together to invest in MCC's future in a more positive and effective way. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, and there is no report from CSEA.
Okay. I would now like to call your attention to the biographies of our newest employees that can be found in attachment 9 and the staff recognition notes found in attachment 10. Both document the impressive credentials and accomplishments of our MCC employees. I know you join me in recognizing them for their contributions to the college. Trustees, if there are no other comments or questions, this concludes the Board of Trustees meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a good night. Congratulations, Alan. Congratulations, Barbara.
Nice job, Alan. Good
Thank you.
job.